Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Talk at Elevation. Today's guest is Will Bell, Executive Director of State 38 Basketball, a Colorado native and former Colorado State University basketball player. Will has dedicated his life to the game, not just as a player or coach, but as a mentor and teacher. His work focuses on building strong foundations for young athletes, emphasizing skills, character, and a deeper understanding of why the game matters. Today, we'll walk through his journey from growing up with basketball in Colorado to leading a program centered on development, purpose, and life beyond the court. But first, let's hear what Fan Day Nation has to offer.
Parents, youth sports can feel overwhelming. The pressure, the questions, the uncertainty. That's why Fan Day Nation is here to help. We believe everyone deserves to be seen, and we make that happen with highlight videos, recruiting education, and mental performance tools that support your athlete on and off the field. Give them confidence and give yourself peace of mind. Visit fandaynation.com. Fan Day Nation, everyone deserves to be seen.
Well, Will, thanks so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, let's start. You're a Colorado native.
Yes.
So what was it like growing up in Colorado and having basketball surrounding your life?
Yeah, it was good. I'm a military brat at the same time. So my dad was military for a lot of my younger lifetime. And by the time I got to middle school-ish, we kind of settled in Colorado Springs area. He's retired Air Force. And then I went to Sand Creek High School on the east side of Colorado Springs. So, at that point in time, growing up, both my parents weren't athletes, which was kind of weird.
Oh, interesting.
So, for me to become the basketball player, the love for the game that I had was definitely not
Right, especially
the
playing
course.
at that D1 level.
That's
awesome.
That's not the course. My mom's dad was a basketball guy, so he kind of got me in that early. But for me, growing up in the Springs, the group of kids that I had, basketball was just life. Our friends, that's all we thought about. We either were thinking about it, we're watching it on TV, we're going out and playing it, So basketball has just been a huge part of my life. And growing up in the Springs, and the Springs is bigger than people think. In all reality,
yeah.
It's bigger than Denver.
Yeah, it's bigger than Denver.
It should be the capital.
Yeah,
actually.
so there's a lot of schools down there, a lot of people, and military bases, and we went and played on military bases with the grown men, and it taught me a lot growing up. It taught me what a foul was and what a foul wasn't. So it was awesome. It was a big part of my life. I went to, like I said, Sand Creek High School. Had a decent career at that high school level, and I went from, I think, 5'10" my freshman year, 5'10", and I sprouted up to around, I was 5'11", I'll say 5'11", but sprouted up to about 6'4" in my sophomore year.
They're like, yeah, put this guy on varsity.
This guy, I came back and they're like, you look completely different. Who are you? And I'm like, I'm Will. You're
What's
not.
up?
Yeah, you're a lot different, but so it's been a huge part of my life growing up in the Springs, and played a little bit of club ball down there as well for a couple of years with a club called Colorado Force. And Ken Lambrick was the head of that. He still does the Force a little bit. But, so I was experienced when it comes to the game, played at a high level in high school, and was able to get on the road a little bit as well at the end of my high school career. So it was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you ended up going to play junior college after high school. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, like every little boy, they have a dream of going to the NBA.
Right.
And, I was
Next
like...
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, next Michael Jordan. And, I was like, my dad always used to ask me, like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to play basketball. What do you mean what I'm going to do?
He's like,
I got a plan. This is it.
I'm going to the NBA. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about me. I'm good.
Yeah, so like any young boy, basketball is the center of my life. But, the education kind of took a back seat a little bit, which wasn't the best thing to happen, but it actually worked out for me. So coming out of high school, I was pretty talented, had some, interests and offers a little bit, D2, low D1. But, they were like, man, this guy's grades just don't pan out right now. I can't, getting accepted to the school, that's a huge thing.
Right.
So, some of my coaches were like, you're going to have to probably go junior college. And I'm like, what is junior college? I have
like,
no
what
idea
are you
what
talking
Like,
about?
that's not the NBA.
Yeah, that's not the
That's
NBA.
not
Last time I checked, that wasn't on the thing. But so I went and started to explore the realm of junior college. Went on a couple visits to Otero, which is in La Junta area. Went to NJC, which is in Sterling. And I eventually landed at NJC in Sterling
Nice.
in 2008. That was my first year there. But it was it was an eye opener, the junior college experience, you know.
Especially
I
being
can-
in Sterling in the middle of nowhere.
Being
Yeah,
in
I can
Sterling,
imagine.
That'll do
there's,
it.
I think it was like 10,000 people is like the cap.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and coming from a couple 100,000 in the Springs,
Yeah.
and I'm
A little
like,
different.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
St. Creek's not a small
Yeah.
school.
no, it's not a small school, right? And it was almost like a high school over again in a certain sense because it's so small, tight knit.
sense.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, it was a eye opener. I remember calling my mom a couple times. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm coming home
You're
tomorrow.
like,
Like,
yeah.
and she's like, no, just stick it out. You'll be good. You know, remember why you're there. You know,
Right.
you have a dream to accomplish more. And this is just part of the path you have to go down, you know? So stayed there for 2 years. It was really good for me because I was able to focus on who I was as a person, a little bit outside of the game as well, but also was able to really hone in on my education, which was the part that was kind of the missing piece for me getting to the next level. and
Right. That's why
playing.
you're there.
Yeah,
and now
correct.
You're,
Yeah. And then able to focus on my game a lot more. I mean, in Sterling, there's not a lot to do.
Yeah, so you're just dribbling all day long.
Yeah, I'm dribbling, you know, we're going to class, we're having practice, we're hanging out, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
fair.
it was really good for me to be able to take that time to say, okay, what do I want out of this game? How can I do it? And what work do I need to put in? So I was able to do a good job of having a good 2 years at NJC. And after those 2 years, I had some offers from different places in the country. You know, I had Ole Miss, San Francisco, Adams State, which is a D2, CSU. So, you know, for me, I was able to accomplish, or at least take a step in the right direction of getting to my ultimate goal, which is playing Division I basketball.
Yeah.
So,
Tell us about that.
yeah.
What was it like playing D1?
Yeah,
Oh.
CSU being a Ram.
Yeah.
yeah, being
That's
a Ram, yeah. So
Yeah.
I chose the right side when it comes to
You
the
did, yes,
state
you
here. But you know, it was awesome for me. The reason I chose CSU was one of the things, like growing up, my parents were really involved in my basketball career. You know, from high school to junior college, they came to about every home game.
That's
You know,
awesome.
even in junior college, my mom and dad would drive from the Springs
That's
to
far
Sterling.
drive too.
It's
Wow.
like 2.5, 3
Yeah,
hours.
that's
you know?
awesome.
Yeah.
And even some of the road games in Western Nebraska and Wyoming, they would be there.
That's
and,
awesome.
you know, for me, it was very important to keep them as part of my basketball journey because they meant so much to me on that
Right,
road.
they're your rock.
Yeah, they're my rock, you know? So I'm like, what can I do to kind of help with that? So CSU was a great spot. I love what they had building as far as their team, their coach, and they were up and coming at that point in time as far as revamping the basketball program. So I'm like, you know what? You know, I like green and gold. It's not too bad. You know, not my
Colors will do.
yeah, not my favorite
It's
at that
fine,
point
I
in time,
guess.
but I've grown to it a lot more. But you know, so it was just a good place for me. They were in the Mountain West and mid-major D1 school, and I was like, yeah, my parents are right up down I-25. You know, they'll be at every home game again and enjoying that experience with me. So that's one of the reasons I chose to go there. I just love, you know, the full aspect of everything.
And they give you a scholarship?
Yeah, I was on a
Nice.
scholarship as well there, and it was weird, you know, the first time coming from that JUCO junior college background.
Different.
Yeah, that
Wait.
transition is
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of on your own, and it's a dog eat dog world. And
Yeah.
coming to, they're like, oh yeah, you have a stipend that you get every month. I'm like, what's a stipend?
Yeah, you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like, wait,
Yeah.
you're taking care of my school, right? Like, yeah, but you get, you know.
Like
Still
you get
get
fun
used
money.
to
too.
yeah, I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
You're like, this'll do,
yeah,
this'll do.
this'll do. You know, I definitely worked hard to get to this point. You know, and then, you know, it was just awesome. They took care of you from, you know, everything, you know, meals, gear, all that stuff, you know. So it was cool to be a part of that whole thing and say, you know, that's not what I did it for, obviously, but just some of the rewards of the work that you put in. And just being able to play at that high level and just say, I belong.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it was one of those things where I was able to prove that the work that I put in meant something. And I was able to hold my own at that level. So it was just one of those surreal moments for me where I just, you know, I look back at it now, I'm like, man, it just went by so fast, but
Yeah.
I learned so much in that point in time, you know.
Exactly.
Well, that's
Huge
awesome.
developmental
Yeah,
years.
good
Yeah,
for you.
huge,
Yeah.
huge.
You know, so you played basketball obviously for a very long time.
Yeah,
we talked
yeah,
about
yeah,
this.
yeah.
After you were done playing basketball, you went into the banking scene. Kind of tell me
Mm-hmm.
about that, and then you came back to basketball. Obviously,
Yes,
your one
yes.
love.
Yeah. Well,
True
you know,
love.
I don't know how I got into banking. Honestly, I'll tell you how. But you know, going back to school, math was my worst subject. I
Right.
hated math. You
I don't
know?
like that.
Yeah. So, after school got done, I had some opportunities to play professionally overseas, and then my body's like a 90-year-old man. Like my knees are shot. So, they were like, yeah, you might want to consider something else.
Yeah, maybe you're done here.
Yeah. And I'm like,
put them on IR.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you mean? And then I was thinking like, okay, if I have kids and a family one day, I want to be able to move and be mobile, instead of being in pain all the time. So for me, and this goes back to my dad, like, what are you going to do after basketball? And, I got hit with that harsh reality very, very soon and abrupt. And, one of my friends, like, I got my degree in business management. One of my friends was like, you know what? The banking world is a good place to be. They love athletes, right? I know you don't have like a banking background, but they love athletes and how they're go-getters, and they're able to relate to anybody and walk into different rooms and communicate and not afraid of the lights or the pressure, when it comes to things like that. So he's like, you should try it out. I'm like, I guess.
So like banking.
Yeah.
Banking, basketball.
Yeah.
So that was like numbers.
Yeah. I was like, this is not what I planned. And even my friends were like, don't you hate math? I'm like, well, yes, but I guess I have a computer that does all the stuff for you.
I don't need to do anything.
I just talk to people and give them details. So I got into banking for a couple of years. I was a business banker for a couple big banks and a couple small banks as well. And then, through that time, I was still doing like men's leagues on the sides, playing as much as I could. And, being in the scene of Northern Colorado, I was able to be really in the middle of the basketball scene, especially high school, middle school, whatever. Right. I saw it all.
Yeah.
And, for me, at some point, I was like, at one point, I want to get back into basketball. I know I'm not going to play professionally right now, but I think there's another impact that I can make with this game. And I honestly think there needs to be more direction and, just a voice of reason when it comes to the game of basketball in Northern Colorado. So, I got connected with a couple of my buddies who were doing some trainings on the side. Hey, we got a couple kids we train. We do a couple clinics here and there. They're like, you should come try it out. So I came, I did it for a couple weeks. I'm like, man, I'm back.
Fun.
Yeah, this is fun.
You're like, I'm back, baby.
Yeah, and I get to make a little bit of money. I'm like, okay, cool. You're paying me to do basketball, So, I enjoyed it. And the love for the game kind of came back, but just in a different way, know. And I enjoyed teaching all the things that I was able to experience with the game and the things that I was taught to the next generation of kids and seeing them have success and love it just like I did. So, I'm like, if there's some point that I can get back to that full time, I'm leaving the banking world. That's not my love anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get back into it. So, so that eventually happened in 2019 and State 38 was created and kind of here we are a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. So
That's
tell
awesome.
us about State 38, what it is, what its mission, your role, kind of all those aspects.
Yeah. So State 38, even a lot of adults ask this question and they're like, what does that even mean?
Right.
And I'm like, well, it's a free history lesson for you. You can take it. And this would be the topic at the table next time you're with your friends. But, Colorado was the 38th state in the Union of the United States. So State 38 basketball. They're like, oh, that's unique.
You're like, that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're creative. I know you just think we put the ball in the hole and
some history buffs over here.
Yeah. We chase that orange basketball, but we can be creative as well.
We got a brain too.
Yeah, we got a brain. We do other things. So State 38 was created. The big thing with State 38, we want to separate ourselves from other clubs. The way that we kind of, one, with the name, obviously, but two, just our approach to the game. So everybody plays basketball, I think, in the world. A lot of people play basketball. It's an easy sport to get involved with,
Right.
Which is a good and a bad thing, in my opinion. Honestly, I think the perception and how the game is looked at is there's a little bit of lies, I guess you can say, that are told with how the game is actually played and what really goes into it. Because I feel like a lot of kids just see the highlights of the game. They see the benefits of the game.
Right. The good things.
The good things, right?
Yeah.
If I play, I'm going to be Mr. Popular. If I do this, I get, now it's a social media influence and I have money backing it.
Right.
And so, and just, and a lot of, I guess, adults in the game, and not to be negative, but it's an ego thing, right? I want to feed my ego. I want the kids that I coach to be successful. I want to win by any means. And, that's good and all. You want the kids to win.
Right.
But at the same time, at what expense? For us, our biggest thing was to teach the game for what it really is. Teach the fundamentals of the game. It might not be as glamorous as everybody thinks it is, but that's an important part of the game. The foundation's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I want my kids to go play professional. They have to play college, whatever. But for them to be able to play this game for a long period of time, no matter what level, they have to understand the game for what the root of it really is. Like, okay, here's how I space the floor. Here's how I, make reads on the fly. Instead of, my coach told me to go stand in the corner for 10 seconds.
Think about it.
Yeah. And then I have to wait until this happens, And it's like they become robots.
Yeah,
And they don't really understand the game.
right.
Right, like the backbone.
Correct. Yeah. So, they're going to be successful for a little period of time, but over the long stretch, they're really hurting the game that way. So for us, we built a lot on teaching the game and fundamentals and really skill sets instead of teaching plays.
Nice.
Right. So yeah, that's how we kind of want to separate ourselves and really have a different lens when it comes to viewing the game and teaching it.
Yeah, that kind of goes into my next question. You're saying that you teach these players rather than teaching the plays. Why is that strong foundation just like so important, especially for these kids? I know you said that's the backbone of everything, but how does it change them as a player?
Yeah, honestly, some kids do have aspirations of playing, let's just start low, varsity basketball, high school basketball. Okay, that's step one. Now they want to play college ball. Okay, now they want to play maybe professional, whatever that is. For them to really understand the game, they can plug into any system, no matter what system that is. So if they understand the flow, the movement, how to make reads, how to make decisions on the fly, the better they are doing those things in a more creative kind of sense, they're going to be able to fit into any program, any coach's philosophy, because at the end of the day, whatever play that's being ran on the floor is going to break down at some point. So when that play breaks down, what are you going to do?
Right. Where are those versatile players?
Yes. Yeah. Where's your creativity at?
And the robots, you can spot a mile away.
The robots are like, oh, this is not normal.
This is not what we're supposed to do.
Wait, this isn't how we play.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the kids that have been taught the foundation, the fundamentals of the game, and that have been given that creative ability, they excel. It's like, okay, this didn't go the way coach planned it, but here's how I can still make it work.
Right, found a different way.
Yes, here's what's in front of me. Be problem solvers on the floor. And if you can do that in any part of life, and basketball included, you're going to be successful.
That's
so, that's why, we really believe in teaching players to play instead of plays. Now we have our sets and things that we go to like any program in the country, but at the same time, we want them to really show their abilities and how they're really versatile and how they can really impact any program.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Makes sense.
Yeah. How do you keep a healthy environment at State 38? Because there's so many, like you said yesterday, there's so many unrealistic expectations for kids these days to start at such a young level in order to make it if they want to go pro or even college or whatever.
It's crazy. The game is blown up in a good way and a bad way. I think, honestly, the biggest thing is meeting the kids where they're at. Everybody has a different basketball journey. Everybody comes from a different place. Our goal as a program is to not judge them on where they're at that point in time on their journey. It's to say, okay, how can we continue to impact your journey? Okay, you're at the lowest level right now. You have no idea anything about the game. How can we come and meet you there? And make the game fun, but also work at it and instill some good values and some good fundamentals when it comes to the game. Now, we got some kids that are at a high level. It's like, okay, cool. You're at a high level, but there's still things to learn. How do we come and meet you there and be able to help you get to whatever next level that is, but also still rooting it and having fun with the game and loving it, right? And I think the biggest thing is like, we don't need you to act like there's a multi-million-dollar contract on the table right now.
Right.
There's not.
Yeah, even if there was, like even the pros that play this game for a lot of money, they still, at the root of the day, it's the love of the game is what drives them. Yeah. So if you ever stop having fun, you're worried about more wins than anything else. You're worried about how many points did I score? What did mom and dad say after the game? That's a problem.
Yeah, that's where people lose it.
Yeah, that's where they lose it. So we really try to make sure, as far as lowering that, pressure, we really try to get back to the love of the game. And when I say that too, I think one of the biggest things is relating to the kids on a playing level that's more than just the game of basketball.
Right.
Because they're here for basketball with us. Obviously, that's why you came in the door. But who are you as a person?
Right.
And how is your day? Like simple things of how is your day?
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Anything
he
else about
actually
life.
cares
Yeah.
about me. Yeah.
And they look at me like funny at first, like, what do you mean, coach? I'm like, yeah.
They're like, we're human. It's okay.
Yeah, how's your day? Like, did you have a bad day, good day, whatever it is. So we really try to take the pressure off that way by saying, yes, we're here for the game, but at the same time, there's more to it than just the game. And, and not to say anything bad about, other parents or coaches or anything like that. We try to take the pressure off and say, I don't care if you miss 10 times in a row. I'm not here judging you. My job is to teach you through those mistakes, right? And you're going to make mistakes. Accept mistakes. It happens all day throughout life and throughout the game. Accept them.
Yeah. You
And
can't
how do we
get
move
better
on?
if you don't
Correct.
make a mistake.
Yeah, trial and error. So that's a little bit of how we kind of approach that and just the unrealistic expectations. Try to take that away and get back to the root and love of the game.
Yeah. That's super important for sure. Because then,
absolutely.
it sucks when those kids lose that love because it does become all about winning or the parents or something like that too. So it's good to keep those athletes going and want to strive for something.
It is. Yeah, you definitely. And I mean, there's definitely things that come with this game that, if you play it very well and you get to be at that level, you get there's benefits of the game, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
you don't have to start thinking about those so early. Really just worry about your journey with this game. Do you love waking up every day and coming to the gym? Do you love who you're around?
You can't rush it because then it's not fun anymore.
You can't rush it. Don't turn it into a job early because once you get to the college level, it is a job.
100% full time.
Be
Double
thankful.
time.
Be thankful for what you're doing now and just enjoy it for what it is and play the game as long as you can.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely.
So as executive director of State 38, you wear a lot of hats. You're a leader, coach, mentor. How do you manage all of that? And then what keeps you personally locked into the game with all these additional roles?
As the program was growing, it was sometimes overwhelming, and we're still growing, which is a great thing. I think it's good to show that I'm a person, I'm a human to these parents and these kids that come in. I'm not just a talking figure in the background sending you off emails and saying, you got to do this, you got to do that. I think it's a, humility thing of them seeing me in the gym, sweeping the floor. They see me in the gym, straightening up the chairs, putting the basketballs
The
away.
little things.
The little things, having those conversations with people. It just makes it for me, I love doing those things, even though it feels like they're burdens at times because it's like I got plenty of other things to do. But that keeps me in touch with everybody else that's in the program. Going up and saying hi to a mom coming in the gym, thanks for being here. So I think, wearing a lot of hats, yes, it can be overwhelming, but at the same time, I've embraced it in a certain degree and saying, you know what, these are things that make us who we are.
Yeah.
We're not, you come in here, it's black and white, this is the rules, this is how you operate. We're human.
Right.
So we have that personal touch to people. And I always tell this to my coaches and everything, you'll never see me see me asking you to do something that I've never done.
So who does that make you?
Yeah. As a leader, I want to set that expectation to the other people in the program that I'm not above you at all by any means. I'll do the scheduling. I'll do the cleaning up. I'll talk to the parents. I'll do the coaching, whatever I have to do. It keeps me grounded and rooted in what's going on, but I'm never going to say that I'm above you in that regard. So for me, wearing all those hats, it is a burden, but it's taught me a lot about how the program also operates. And now I kind of have a pulse on everything going on within the program. So, but as we've grown over the last couple of years, I've definitely done think I've done a decent job of getting other people in that share the same vision that I do,
That's good.
that want to pour into the game and pour into the kids and believe in what we're doing. So with that being said, I've been able to, trust more. And some of those coaches that have come in, I'm like,
Delegating.
Yeah, delegate.
Yeah, and
which
that's
is-
hard to do.
It's so hard.
It's so hard.
It's like your baby, and you're like, I don't want,
So you're like, I can just do it.
You're gonna mess
I'll
it
do
up.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do this. I'll stay up till 2 a.m, get it done.
Yeah,
it's okay.
fine.
But,
Don't worry about it.
yeah, but
Crying.
being able to bring in more people, good people that have the same vision, has definitely been a huge thing for me. So now I'm able to say, okay, now you do this part of it and empower them to do it. And not saying I will never do it again, but that's helped me sustain, I guess, some sanity when it comes as the program's growing, to be able to have people that I can lean on and really trust and that support the brand and what we do.
Yeah, that's important to growth and anything with a company.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that's part, I don't mind wearing all the hats. It's one of those things, but I'm glad I'm kind of slowly moving out of that phase as well.
Yeah.
But I'm just, I'm a human. I love being involved with everything that happens that runs within our program. And that's what makes us successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's awesome to be a leader and just do all those things and make sure everyone's involved and sees you especially.
Correct.
That's important.
It's huge.
Yeah. So you mentioned something that really stood out to me. Everyone puts the ball down eventually, you said. So how are you preparing these kids? Or I know you said like your life after basketball, you were trying to figure out how to get back into it, but there is that harsh reality of life after basketball. So how do you prepare these kids for that?
For me, it's kind of goes back to, relating to them on a personal level. When they come in the gym, what'd you do today? What's your, how was your day? What did you like about your day? What did you not like about your day? Because at the end of the day, let's be real. I think the numbers, I can't remember the exact numbers, but like point whatever percent make it to college, right? It's not even a full percent, I think, or something like that. Maybe 1% at most. Then you take even more off of that, 0.00 whatever percent, make it to the professional or NBA. Or so, for me, I really, want to have these kids understand like the game is a vehicle, right? And you're, experience it, enjoy it, but also think about other things that you enjoy doing outside of that game. So, when I come up to you, hey, what's your hobby? Like, what do you do? Oh, I play basketball, coach. No, what do you do outside of basketball?
That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's all I do. That's all I do.
I was a music kid. I'm like, I play sports.
Yeah, I play sports. And I'm like, what music do you like? And like, why are you asking? Because like, there's more to you than just the game. The game is not who you are. It's just part of you.
Yeah, it's not your full identity.
It's not your full identity. And I think that's a very important thing that we have to really instill in these kids early, so they don't have that, abrupt, kind of ending when it comes to their career. And like, I have no idea what's going on.
Right. And you went through that too.
Yeah.
You're done sports one day and then now you're like, I got to do banking.
I got to do a job. Like
what?
What are you
what
talking
is
about?
this? And I think for the kids, it's like, I don't want them to go through that sense of almost oppression in a certain sense that a lot of athletes go through nowadays because they haven't been prepared for life after the sport.
They know nothing else.
Yeah. So, for me, I really try to encompass other things when it comes to teaching the game. Here's how we're learning this. Here's how it applies to basketball, but also here's how it applies in real life, right? Attention to detail. Yes, that matters on the court, but if you have a real job one day, you have a family and all those things, that the details still matter, So it's not just right now we're running, X, Y, and Z concepts on the floor. It's going to carry throughout your whole life.
Yeah.
And, for them to really understand the big picture is very important to me. Yes, we're being successful in the game, but how is this going to impact you after that? And, so for me, honestly, it's just viewing them as more than just players. They're people. And people have bad days. People have other things that they're interested in. You're here for basketball, but I don't want to consume you to a point to where it becomes a job. Go do other things. Take a day off. Go to
Go hike.
go
Walk
to
a
a
dog.
hike.
Do
Yeah.
something.
Go to a concert. Go to a movie. Whatever else that you like to do. Start experimenting in those things, and it's okay to have another hobby outside of the game. So. I think all of my coaches kind of embody that same mindset as well. And I think the biggest thing when teaching the kids the game is there's life after it and just giving them things to say, this is going to apply to not just the game, but after the game, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you look at these kids going through State 38, what is something you want them to remember about, the process, everything, not just about basketball, but life too?
That these people really cared about me as a person. I really put a lot of emphasis on that because there's so many things going on in this world, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. But, we want them to be seen. We want them to be heard. We want them to have a voice and not just be a number that's in this game and say, well, coach is telling me to do this, so here's what I have to do. I'm abiding by every single rule. No, have an opinion. We can, okay, I don't agree with your opinion. Here's why I don't agree. And we can have that conversation. But, just to make sure that they are cared for outside of that orange basketball that they're here to put in the hole, so, which, like I said, at some point, like you guys said, it stops bouncing one day. So, and I want them to view the program as a family, not
That's
just
awesome.
I came and I showed up. I'm part of a team. This is my position that I played.
Yeah.
Here's what I was good at. Half of that, all that stuff is great, but you're not going to remember all that at the end of the day. You're going to remember maybe the car rides down to the game where you're in the car with 4 of your buddies and you're goofing off and you're listening to whatever song that's on the radio or whatever at that point in time. Maybe a flight across the country when we go and play in the spring and summer. You remember the road trips. You remember the goofy things that happen on there.
Yeah.
Instead of, you remember the game too, but more so than not, you remember those experiences.
But you don't remember every play. You don't remember every shot you took.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't. I mean, you miss the big picture if that's what you're really, thinking about.
Yeah.
It's about those relationships, those lifelong friendships that you create. So I really want them to really feel the culture of this is a family thing. Yeah, we're going to compete at a high level. We're gonna have kids that are really good. We're going to have kids that are middle of the road. We're going to have kids that are just starting. But we're going the same way as a program and as a family.
Yeah.
So and really you're a part of something that's bigger than just the game.
Yeah. Because everyone deserves to be seen.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. Seen and heard,
Yes.
Yeah.
So and so that's what we really want them to remember. This is a family. This is a culture. This is something that you'll come to after you're done playing and be like, now I can coach it. I'm still involved in it. I want to make an impact for the next generation. And that's what I really want them to take away from being a part of our program.
That's great.
That's amazing. Well, we talk about what the kids hope to remember about your program, but how do you want to be remembered?
For me, as somebody that's made an impact on not only the game of basketball, but just the next generation as a whole. Like I said, really giving them a leg to stand on, saying you do have a voice. Here's what it means to have a voice. Here's what it means to understand how to use this game as a vehicle, how to, be successful in the game and life. So in all, like, I want to be known to say, hey, Will made an impact in more than just the game. Yes, he's one of those people that you look at in Northern Colorado or Colorado in general, you think of, okay, Will Bell comes to mind, right? Of what he did, not only as a player, but as on the level of being a leader for the next generation, but also just, having a pipeline of kids that come through that really just, they become good citizens in society.
Right.
And they're making an impact, whether that's in basketball, in banking, in the medical world, whatever they choose. But, we instilled a foundation in things in them that they can be successful no matter what they do. So I think the big picture is just, pouring into the next generation for sure.
Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Well, everything you've said today has been just very important and impactful. What you're building at State 38 goes far beyond wins and losses. It's about the purpose, growth, and giving young athletes a foundation that they can carry with them for life. We appreciate the time and honesty and the impact you're making on this next generation. Where can our fans find you? Social media?
Yeah, so we're everywhere. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I think if people still use Facebook for the most part, website. So Twitter and Instagram is State 38 B-Ball.
Okay.
So
B-Ball.
State 38 B-Ball. You can find us there. Website state38basketball.com. You can follow along with all of our teams, all of our updates. Videos that we have out there highlighting our players, our coaches. So on all major social media platforms, you can find us in our own website. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much again.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for
you,
having me. I
Will.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
And that's
thank
it
you.
for the Talk at Elevation.
Yeah, thank
See you
you.
next time.